And 1, 2, 3. Fresca means we're back on the Ultra Crude podcast. My name is John, your host. My co-host, as always, the fabulous BMFJ herself.
Oh, thank you, darling.
It's been an exciting weekend. It's Monday evening once again, and we're coming to you. We're bringing that post mid-state mile recap, the murder mile, the last man standing ultra endurance event where grown men are brought to tears. And this year, spoiler alert, a not quite yet grown man reigns supreme.
A very mature young man.
Yeah.
Not a grown young man, but a good young man.
A solid young fella.
I like that.
Solid young fella. It was an incredible weekend. Listen, we're going to come out with it. We're going to get ahead of this. If you're listening to this podcast, brought to you by Fresca.
Actually, not brought to you by Fresca.
Fresca's the only thing keeping me going. I was a little worried that I wasn't going to be able to drink coffee in Fresca today because I drank so much coffee in Fresca this weekend, but I've powered through.
Oh, wow. Way to overcome adversity.
Yeah, I'm learning lessons. We're exhausted.
That's an understatement.
I think that's the best way to put it, is that it's just pure exhaustion. And we're gonna see how this goes. But we're gonna bring it to you because it needs to be brought. And we got things to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
What do you got off the top?
I wasn't prepared for that.
Well, fortunately, there's so much to talk about. You should easily be able to bring something to the table.
Off top, holy fucking shit. What a weekend. And a ride. And I know the race did not go as long as it has some past years and that, and people will say, oh, well, it didn't go.
It's such a horrible, first of all, that's such a horrible measurement for the race.
Oh, I agree.
Like, let's say, just do that. The time in the miles is probably the worst indicator for how good of an event it is at Mid-State.
Yeah. What I was going to say was, they still went 30 hours with 30-something thousand feet of elevation gain.
And 30 inches of rain.
Yeah. And just shy of 100 miles. Like, it takes, and here's the thing about our format, is it takes so long to get to 100 miles.
Yeah.
In most backyards, at 24 hours, you're at 100. And that's not a lot of gain either on those courses. No. But our course is, you've hit 100 or close to 100 miles and you're just barely over 30,000 feet of gain.
Yeah. Was it 32 hours for 100?
Something around there.
31 maybe. Yeah, it's a long time to get to 100 miles, which is not a long time to run 100 miles if you're in a 100-mile race, quite frankly.
And most of those 100 miles only have 10,000 feet of gain, 12,000.
Yeah.
Maybe 15.
And we're at 30,000. So it's over Everest.
And then some.
And then some. Let's start at the beginning of the race. I feel like it's just been nonstop. The race really started for us Thursday in preparation.
I would say before Thursday, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but
we really buckled down.
Yeah. Obviously it's been going on, but Thursday's a long day, set up. And then Friday, crunch time hits. It's when people start showing up. People start showing up Thursday, but check in, crew set up. Mm-hmm. Starts Friday afternoon, and it was great. I think we had a great Friday afternoon. Everything went really well. We got a little bit of rain on Friday, just a little bit. We got a little rainstorm, which would become a theme for the weekend.
I think it's been the theme for Tennessee for the past spring and summer.
And then Crew 5K Run for Water was really fun, as always. Got that family meal.
Yeah. Which I want to say, we don't have any official affiliation with Run for Water, but we do put on that Crew 5K as a way to donate to Run for Water and Greg and all the good he is doing out there in the world. If you've seen the documentary, which is where we end up having a lot of people find us, then you know who Greg Armstrong is he. And he just does incredible work, and he's been such an inspiration. So it's just a fun way for us to be able to give to them.
And also it's a fun way for crew members to get a little taste of what their runner is going to go through.
Yeah. On a side note, did you know Jeremiah's mom had never been out there to the Crossroads?
Yeah, I heard that today.
Yeah.
I think.
She had no idea what he was actually out there doing. And when she saw that hill, it was like, oh my God. And I think she finally understood what her son was going through out there.
He was going through a lot. Jeremiah would end up with the assist on the day.
Yeah. But it is really fun to see the crews get out there and go, oh my God, this is what they're going to do tomorrow. And you're like, yep. And then to see what they do, and then the crews just even have a bigger appreciation. Crew members, family, you don't have to be a crew member. It's for friends, family, kids, whoever.
But the only way to get in is for a runner to enter you in.
Yes.
Like you have to be associated with a runner.
Yeah. Show up that Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then first whistle is 8:00.
Beep, beep.
Saturday morning.
We had an eventful pre-race. We had a little wedding.
A little wedding happened out there.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It's pretty low key. Back of the corral.
Just boom.
Pavilion.
Hey, I'm getting married right now.
Yeah. I mean, we knew it was happening, but
it was fun. It's always nice to see. I mean, but it's a race where people come together and memories happen.
Yeah.
And it's special. It's a special place, I think, for everybody that comes out. And that's, it's not just a race at the end of the day.
No.
It's something more.
It is. It is so much more than just a race.
Walk me through it, Jones. What were you feeling Saturday morning? When does it set in for you? I don't know if we talked about this. Like, when does it set in? Like, is there ever a sigh of relief? Like, do you get to exhale at some point?
No, I do not. I certainly do.
You're not an exhaler?
No, I mean, you and I have very different roles in what we do there, and both are extremely important. You are the whistle man, the speech man, the man. You are the man controlling the masses and doing the things, and I'm the person in the background trying to make sure everyone's got what they need. All of our volunteers have what they need, making sure the runners are where they were supposed to be, the crews know where their setups are, and everything's going. So there's no real exhale because there's still always stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, routinely people come up to me and ask questions, and I just say I'm not qualified to answer that question.
Yeah, and you send them out, which is fine. You are actually not qualified to answer those questions. I would prefer if you not answer those questions because I actually probably have an answer for those questions that need to be answered.
Odds are I'm going to get it wrong.
There's a good possibility. Yeah, for sure. I mean, 98% chance.
That seems a little harsh.
Not that I can't trust you, but you don't know the other workings of all the other things of what I've told other people.
That's
fair and accurate. Yes. Yeah. I could have told someone over here that we need this, and that, or this is where this is going to go. And you go, oh yeah, you can, nope. I've already told someone this over here. So no, don't do that. And then I have to have another conversation. Which you've done really good these past couple of years about just directing those people towards me and go, Miss Jones is the one to ask that question. And Miss Jones will have an answer. The look on your face, it's like you have a realization there.
No, it's not real. It's already become realized. It's just, the most helpful thing I could do is to be the least helpful.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Do we even need me?
Yes, we absolutely do, because I can't.
The clock is automated.
No, here's the thing.
The whistle blows.
No, but it's the personality, it's the presence. I can't do what you can do, and you can't do what I can do. You can't. You can't do it with a smile and being friendly and doing all that.
I can be friendly.
You can't do all that I can do with what you need to be in doing what I do.
Well, there's no debating it, that you are irreplaceable. And you are the heartbeat of the organization and the race.
Yeah.
You work your tail off constantly. We got home yesterday and you virtually immediately fell asleep, but then woke up and did schoolwork.
Well, it was due by midnight, so I had to. I didn't have a chance to not.
There's no rest. There's no rest. I mean, but is there a moment? There's no sigh of relief, obviously, for you. I don't know that there's a sigh of relief for me, definitely. But is there like the realization where everything comes in and that feeling starts, like that peace or aura? No? What do you feel on Saturday morning when the race starts? I guess is what I'm asking. Is it just anxiousness?
Oh, I don't ever really feel anxious, but I get excited. Like once it starts, I'm like, all right, we're in this. Like I am so thrilled to get out there and see what people are going to do. The only time I have anxiety is, seeing if people are going to make it back or not, especially the people you get invested in their story. They're coming up on that bumper. I'd like to go out to the crossroads and watch and see that. That's really my only anxiety for the weekend. There's a lot.
As long as the porta potties get there on time.
Fucking motherfucker. That's always a thing. Beep. And they did this year, and they got there early this year, and
but it's such a huge thing. Like if we don't have toilets, we got a really, really big problem. And there's like one company that will deliver toilets out there.
Yeah. So
it all hinges on like Tiffany answering the phone and checking her email. Like not for nothing.
There's two things we have to have: race shirts and toilets.
We'd be better off having toilets.
Agreed.
And not race shirts.
Agreed.
Like we can figure that out, but no toilets is going to cause a problem because there's 300 people there.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah, there's 100 people running, but there's 300 people there.
Yeah.
They're going to need to go to the bathroom.
I can't tell you how many times I've thought about that plan and how we can construct something real quick. Like if we can't get someone out there, like what all of that looks like. Okay, here's these camping toilets.
Slit Trents.
No, I've literally been like, okay, we could do this structure. We could have shower curtains. We could have this camping toilet.
It's not unheard of to just have 5-gallon buckets.
Apparently that's a thing.
Do you remember the one year that a guy brought a bucket?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Vinny, you know who you are.
Yeah.
Because he was concerned. We had one guy that wanted to rent his own portable toilet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, you can bring one, but you got to bring a guard. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to guard your private toilet.
No.
Don't. And for anybody, no, you cannot bring your own porta potty.
No.
It's not in the rules. Just it's probably going to be now. You can't rent your own porta potty.
No. But it's all good. You don't ever really. No one has to wait for one. That's never a thing.
We get an abundance.
Yeah.
Of porta potties.
We do, and it times itself where it's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is one of the larger stressors, I think, of the race weekend.
Yeah, I think if you've not ran it before, you worry about that, but also us making sure that
from our side, it's one of the larger stressors of race weekend.
Because there is always a thing.
Yeah.
There's been several times where I've called, I'm like, hey, do you have this on the calendar? I'm like, oh, well, let me get back to you. I'm like, I ordered and paid for these 6 months ago.
Yeah. That needs to be on the calendar.
Yeah.
It's not your problem. Figure it out.
Which day was it last year or the year before last? I called on the day that they were supposed to be there, asking when they're going to get there. And they're like, we don't have that on our thing. And I was like, I don't.
That might have been last year.
And I was like, well, they're paid for and they're supposed to be here today. Yeah. They have to, and they're like, well, can they come on Friday? No, they cannot. They have to be here tomorrow. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, and one of the things I think we adjusted this year is Friday used to be a full day.
Yes.
And we've pushed that to the late afternoon, evening, which I think has worked out better for us. It's made it a little bit more hectic. I swear, it was crazy because there's still things to button up. I had a few things I was buttoning up. I'm in charge of very little, but the things I'm in charge of
are very large.
I am in charge of.
And they're important. They're important. You don't get to phone in the things that you are in charge of.
There's no time to do them after the race starts.
No.
Like, there's no, hey, I wasn't able to get tortillas yesterday. I can call in and have somebody pick that up or whatever. Like, the things that I am responsible for very much have to be done before the race starts. It have to be mostly done really before people get there on Friday afternoon, Friday evening. Like, there's a hard cutoff. So I was putting a few of those things up, and then there wasn't really anybody around. It was like Aaron Dana was there helping out, and the AV club, you and I, maybe
Doug, Larry.
Yeah. Brooke was there. And then there was a wave of people at 3:00 sharp. I'm like, is there 100 people just waiting in the field? Is that what I missed? Was there the parking lot was full, and then everybody descended right at 3:00 sharp?
Yes.
Which was awesome. But at the same time, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Where all these people come from?
Well, yeah, we pushed all that back and consolidated it.
Yeah, which I think is better.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. I think it helps that community atmosphere too, because then everybody's going to be there about the same time.
Yeah. And in the past, we have spread that out throughout the day and let it be early. And this year too, I mean, we just did not have the freaking time to do it earlier. You and I worked every day, and then we went out to the farm and did stuff, or went out to the farm in the morning, then went to work, and then
sometimes went back to the farm.
Yep. And then after that, I came home and did school stuff. There was no time.
Made shirts.
Yep. You made a lot of shirts.
Yeah.
And that's like
I was making shirts Friday morning.
And here's the thing: those shirts, all the shirts, take at least 14 hours with the numbers that we did.
Oh yeah.
That's literally what it takes. You can't shorten it.
No.
Each shirt has a certain amount of seconds.
A specific amount of time that it has to print.
Yes. And when you do the math,
it's not like you can do 2 at a time.
I think it came out to 12 or 13 hours.
Yeah.
And that's no downtime in between. That's just churning those out.
Hey, listen, I'll crank them out.
Yeah.
I'm like a machine.
You are incredibly talented at it.
Good systems, process improvement. I've got a master's degree in this sort of thing. It's the only time I use it.
You do have an MBA in that. Yes, you do. It's
manufacturing. That's it. Oh, goodness. I think it's always really great to see Saturday morning unfold and people come in and finish setup, and when everybody's there and everybody's waiting, it's that, like, this is another year, and I can't believe it's another year, and I can't believe people are showing up to do this, and how incredibly humbling it is knowing what they're about to do.
Yeah.
Because we know.
We do.
Sometimes they don't. A few of them do. They've been there. They're back. They know it's in store for them. But a lot of people don't. A lot of crew members don't. And so it's that bated breath waiting for it to hit them one by one. What's really out there. And I take a big sigh of relief once the first whistle goes off. And I think it's mostly because I know that now I have one job.
Yes.
Like, it's very focused for me for the rest of the race. There is one thing that I have to worry about. There's other stuff that comes up, but it's now this singular focus of living your life 20 minutes at a time in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, and you're the man with the whistle. So you're really keeping them in that box, and you're the one making sure it all goes off without a hitch. Everybody's in there, and those that aren't, I'm really sorry.
There's some close calls. We got one in the first loop.
Yeah. Oh, Tina.
Yeah.
Tina's been coming out to the course. They come up from about Chattanooga. I love her and her husband. They really are wonderful. And she's been working her tail off. And even when she was out there, she's like, I got to find a way to get this loop down faster. I was really hoping she would make that first one, but so close. Missed it by what? Just a few steps?
Yeah, just shy. And listen, this is the hard part about the race, is because you want everybody that's real close you want to give them a pass.
You do want to.
You want to give them a pass and be like, yep, you can run another loop.
Can't do it.
But a foot is a foot. In or out is in or out. Mm-hmm. And that finish line's the finish line. If you don't make it, you don't get to go around again. Yeah. And there's been some really close calls over the years.
There really has, and some emotional ones that are hard to watch. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't just give it to them because it's the beginning.
No.
Because it's come down to closer to the end. It's come down to people making it in some of those top numbers. You have to be in it.
Yeah, I mean, how many times was Jeremiah just made it? Mm-hmm. I think if you go look back and the assist guys in that top 5, even that top 10, like they're just making it for a few loops in a row.
Oh, when it comes close to them timing out. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Not throughout the whole time.
Yeah. But there's always like that just making it. It builds so much suspense.
It does.
Like they came in, they got 10 seconds, which is plenty of time. Like take a deep breath. Understand you made it. All we got to do is walk towards the start line. We're going to be okay. But you got to be in. You got to be in the corral. We can't waver on it as much as I want to sometimes.
No, it's hard because you also get invested in people and their story and what they're putting in, and it just tugs at your heartstrings so much. But you got to adhere to it. And there are people sometimes that are just a step or two outside and still want to keep going, but they've missed it.
Yeah, the hard part is
you have to be in
when they thought they made it.
Yeah, no, they didn't. Yeah,
I understand you think you did, but you didn't.
You have to be in when it blows, not when it starts blowing, not when it's done. Like
you got to be there.
You got to be in.
Yeah,
you can't be coming into it as it goes. You've missed it at that point.
Yeah.
Like
you're in or you're out.
Yep. When the whistle blows, you have to be in, not crossing.
Yes.
Got to be in.
Got to be in.
It's hard. It's so hard.
I'm going to cut your wristband off. We cut off 105 of them this year. One by one.
Yeah.
Sometimes in clumps. That loop after the second loop after intermission this year was rough, son. That was brutal.
Yeah, they were just dropping.
Everybody made the first loop after intermission.
As most of them do.
But that second loop, when it's fully dark. There was like 5.
We started intermission with like 30-something people, though, like 38.
Oh, it was a high number.
It was the most number we've ever started with. I do believe it was 38. And we lost people by loop after loop after loop consecutively.
It was carnage.
Yeah.
From that. Because I have an assistant race official. Mrs. Glandorf. Mm-hmm. Has been so gracious to fill in the midnight hours for me the past 2 years so I can get some rest, so I can be my charming self.
You know it's emotionally traumatizing for her to cut wristbands. Right?
She keeps volunteering to do it.
I mean, she loves it.
She's a legal professional. As far as a resume goes, I feel she's the most qualified to be in that position. Mm-hmm. She works for a judge. She's a lawyer. I feel we're safe. I did not know it was so emotionally traumatizing for her. She's not shared that with me.
It's emotional. It's emotional to win to in someone's race. You know that. You watch what people are pouring into it. And I mean, you've got more experience at it. You're a little more hardened. But and I don't like doing it either. I don't want to be the bad guy. So it's just a sweet little ladies there having to be the bad guys, and the people that come in super close. Oh God, it's tough. But I do have to keep my head. What would John do? Yeah, we got to keep it moving. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Bethany, but thank you.
Yeah. Tony was great this year. Tony and B. Clark and Aaliyah on the live stream and stuff taking over. Brandon Michael Clark's and Tony's live stream crew food assessment runner eating thing was the best. I think it was around 3:00 in the morning. I'll have to go back through and find it. Me and Bethany were cracking, like almost snarfing, laughing. It was hilarious.
Snarfing. I got good sleep, so I missed that. But I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the morning, and What's crazy is you talk about so many people that made it to the first intermission. By the time we were down to 24 hours, we only had 4 of them left.
Yeah, which is why I was like, we're going to have a crew that goes deep.
So we've had more people make it to 12 hours, but less people make it 24.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Not for nothing, I think it's fair to say that the weather may have played a part in this year's duration and casualty rate.
And we did say the same about last year, which is unusually hot.
Was hot.
But this year
was cooler with, not for nothing, 100% humidity the entire time.
And that is no exaggeration, in mud. And you scraped that road. You did so much scrape it. Once you were out on the course, it wasn't that bad. But leaving the
first
corral,
100 yards.
First 100 yards, leaving the corral, and once you reach the bottom of Widow's Road, coming through the field and through the yard, once you hit grass.
I think that caused the muddy field, the muddy yard, the last 100 yards of the race. The first 100 yards was muddy. That's not the biggest thing. The last 100 where you're making up time coming back in, you just couldn't really move that fast through the wet, slick mud.
No.
But the first 100, that start, I pulled 2 feet of mud off the road.
And that's no fucking exaggeration.
It's not an exaggeration at all, because I was going back and forth with the tractor, and there was just mud ruts that are 2 feet deep.
And I'm going to throw this little
and I pulled it out.
I'm going to throw in this. When you first scraped it and then set the pile of mud over on the side, we had quite the fight, because the pile of mud was just sat to the side and it looked like shit. And it was great that there was not mud on it. I was like, something's got to fucking happen with this. You can't do this. What the fuck are you doing? You're fucking this up. You weren't happy at all. Yeah. And then you yelled at me, and then I yelled at you, and then we had a whole thing.
Don't tell people we yell at each other.
We do.
We got a bit shouty.
No, we fucking yelled at each other, but you yelled at me first, and then I cussed you, and then you were upset that I cussed you, and then we started yelling.
I don't know that I started yelling.
You did, because you had to apologize for yelling. You definitely yelled.
I definitely raised my voice. You're being mean to me. I didn't like it. I'm working hard, doing things. It's a good thing I did them.
Oh, so grateful.
I don't know what we would have done and not scraped that road. You wouldn't have been able to run through there.
You wouldn't have been able to. There's no fucking way anyone would have been able to do anything.
So there was a giant monsoon happened. I don't know, 5:00 Saturday night. It poured down rain for a solid half an hour.
So much rain.
Can't see rain.
Yeah. But the runners loved it. And that was the other thing. Out on the course. Because I walked out there. I wanted to get some video of what was happening. And the runners, they were just like, let's fucking go.
Dancing in the rain.
Yeah,
there was a lot of let's go energy until they were running through the flooded creek.
Oh, but they even liked it at some point, because it did wash off all the mud that you just ran through. Now, I'll say this. It got packed down. Yeah. The course had actually got packed down, was in better condition than when they started. I walked out there on it, and a bunch of those ruts had kind of been packed in. Mm-hmm. It was great, solid. And then that happened. So then they were running through the mud, and then they got to run through the creek. But the creek was mid-shin deep on a lot of these guys. So
the course starts, there's 2 small creek sections, because that's just where the road went. We're here in the south. Sometimes you use a creek for a road because creeks are flat. Mm-hmm. The creek typically has, in spots where there's water flowing through it, about a 1/4 inch of water.
It's not a lot.
That's not a lot at all. It's not going to get your shoes wet. The tread depth on your shoes is deeper than the water that is in the creek. But all of the water that runs down through the hollows flows through that creek out to the Harpeth. And so it does that very quickly, and it gets very deep very quickly.
Yeah. I need to post the videos I took. So I walked back there, and I got it coming off the hills, and the runners actually got to see how much water comes off of there. And that was just a short shower, just one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they had a new appreciation for all the work that really you put in with the tractor and I put in with moving the gravel and, raking the things out and filling in and everything. They really got to understand how much work had to be done in order for it to start. And then a lot of it just still washed right away.
It sure did.
But
Goodness gracious.
I walked up Myers a little bit, tons of water's coming down, and I walked down the crossroads, and the crossroads were yet again underwater.
Yeah, just flooded.
Yeah, crossroads were flooded. The other creeks, they were coming through at that point. And they're like, it's almost up to my knee, like it's mid shin. And I was like, yeah, it flash floods. I said, give it 2 loops, it'll go back down.
It did. Yeah, it did. It went right back down, and it wasn't an issue. But
the mud stayed.
I had a couple people come up to me and ask me what the policy was on weather, what we were going to do. I was like, it's just rain. Like, what do you mean? What are we going to do? Clock's still ticking.
Yeah.
Clock's running.
There was a little bit of thunder, but there was nothing severe.
No lightning, nothing crazy like that. No big issues.
Here's the thing. We're never going to put anyone in danger. You just may not like it, and you may be uncomfortable. And if you want to quit, quit.
If the rain is the least comfortable, or is the most uncomfortable thing you've got going on out there, you're in a blessed state.
Yeah, and even still, even with the lightning, like, do you know how many races up in Colorado and everywhere else that they still run through lightning?
Yeah, well, lightning was never close enough.
No, it wasn't. But we're never gonna put anyone in immediate danger. But if you feel like you're not comfortable, that's your choice.
Decision's yours.
Yeah.
Nobody's forcing you.
No.
I mean, a lot of people quit running because they were uncomfortable and it wasn't raining.
Absolutely.
Like, this isn't comfortable anymore. I want to keep doing this. I get it.
Yeah, quit.
More than a few.
Yeah.
I think next year we're going to be really grateful for this year in the mud and the rain that we had.
Mud State Mile.
Because it is probably going to be 100 degrees. And it's going to be oppressively hot. And we're going to go, man, remember last year?
When it was cool?
When it was cool and rainy and overcast all day? That was so nice.
I mean, this time of year you can't get perfect weather.
No, not going to happen. Made it through the night. We'll get into the meat here. Nicholas, a 17-year-old champion, is absolutely incredible. To one, be able to run that distance at that age, to be that composed, to manage this particular format at that age, and to be physically dominating grown men at the age of 17.
He was doing that last year at the age of 16.
Yeah. He went a little farther this year.
Yeah.
And he took home the quilt.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he was the only one that was able to keep going.
He was 12th last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it's been incredible to watch his progression because they did a 50K the first year. Then last year, he was 12, came in, did about 60-something miles. And people were looking around like, I can't believe this 16-year-old's beating me. I mean, it was funny to watch that. Yeah. And there were guys that stayed in, because I talked to him afterwards. They're like, I can't let this kid beat me. Like, they stayed in longer just because he was there. And I don't know if he really knew that he pushed some of those guys in that field. I think that field would have been a lot smaller, deeper, if he hadn't stayed in. Because their egos were like, there's no way I can't let this happen.
Yeah, and we had a strong field of young runners this year. We don't.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is that there's a lot of questions and age limits, and we don't really do that so much. We take it on a case by case basis.
Yeah.
We had an 8-year-old run this year.
Yeah.
15 miles. Get out of here! But we had a couple more teenagers out there, teenage boys.
Yeah.
Putting up some pretty solid numbers.
Yeah.
And
Gotti was what, 16?
Yeah. Yeah. And he had a real good run. He had a target that he was going for, and I think he achieved it. Mm-hmm. He got kind of hamstrung last year by his coach. He's like, hey, I only want you to run 20 miles. They ran a couple more, but the leash was off this year to run and push. And just to see this young men
and a young lady,
the young people, the youth that are composed and handling it and going forward and willingly pushing themselves is fun to watch. I think for everybody. And I'm really impressed with what we had. I think we had a lot more people progress this year than we have had sophomore slumps.
Yeah, this year, truly,
there was a lot of progression.
There was, and it was really interesting. And when we finally had to cut those guys' wristbands, and even throughout the night, because we went through a lot of wristbands while you were asleep, and it was, I just beat last year.
Yeah.
And usually it's, oh, man, I didn't even beat last year.
Mm-hmm.
But the theme of this year's race was I beat last year.
And that's so awesome. And that's what we want. We want you to come out, see what you can do, go home, work on it, come back with a new fire and a greater ability, and come back and push yourself. We want you to be capable of more each time you come and keep pushing that bar a little higher.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, Cale Jackson was one of those that came out and just had a great second year.
Oh, God, Cale killed it.
And battled and kept working. Didn't want to keep going.
You could tell.
But he...
Yeah.
Kept coming back. Even with the questions, like, why am I doing this? This hurts. Yeah. I don't want to keep doing this.
He said the mental battle had been going on
for like 6 hours.
And him and I talked about this after he was done. I said, it's one of those things I felt as well, when your body is so strong and it just keeps going and you just wish it would fail. You wish it would stop. And you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is dumb. And then your body just goes. You're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then it just keeps fucking going.
You keep showing up. You keep giving yourself an opportunity. So impressive to watch. So happy for those second or third year guys that came and went farther. Steve Panzik's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Went farther this year.
Yeah. Power 10 Fitness.
Power 10 was up. Thank you, Steve.
Yes.
Just really, I think what is so special about Mid-State and about this format and about this community is, again, you get to see it all. And from our perspective, we get so invested. You're allowed to be invested. If this was a 100-mile race and we had 300 people out there, even if those people showed up year after year and you saw them checking in the finish line year after year or at an aid station year after year, like, you would like them. You would be happy to see them. You would be vested in their race a little bit. But when you see every mile they run,
literally,
like, that connection, that investment becomes very deep and genuine because you're seeing them battle through it. You're seeing it all unfold. You see the bounce back. You see I don't want to eat anything right now. Okay, well, here's a banana. And then they feel better. And then, like, oh, you need salt and electrolytes. And this is what's happening. And they're like, oh, wow, that really worked. And you get to be emotionally and physically invested in each mile of their race.
Here's what I said to a couple of guys, especially when they were, in that afterwards, like, felt like they failed. And I mean this to every runner. And sometimes they need reminding. Thank you for coming out and being vulnerable, because at Mid-State, there's nowhere to fucking hide. You cannot hide anywhere. And hey, we're going to reduce the amount of places you can hide because we're going to put more cameras out there. we are. We're going to put more cameras out there. We were supposed to have one at the Crossroads this year it was working. And but the boosters are waterproof, but the problem was we had so much water coming up. It was splashing up in everything, and it shorted a bunch of stuff out. So we had cameras going down. The AV Club, Jennifer, Forrest, Garrett, they did amazing in handling all of that. They had a lot of problem solving they had to do on their side. But outside that, back to the runners on the fact that there's nowhere to hide. Everyone sees everything you're going for or going through, even if you have on your hater blockers, even if you're trying to compose yourself when you come through. If you have highs, lows, where you're at, if you're just in the middle, it's all in front of everyone. The wins, the losses, we get to watch it.
Yeah, and your competitors get to watch it too.
Yes,
and there's some sort of, like, sometimes some gamesmanship, and sometimes people hold towels up when their runner's sitting there because they don't want anybody else to see what's going on, and they try to hide. It's so funny how exposed they are. That natural instinct to hide what they're feeling just kicks in.
Yeah.
And like their crews like kick in and try to protect them from the people seeing what's happening. And I understand it, because you don't want to look weak in front of this guy you're trying to beat. You want him to think that you're stronger than he is.
How many people do we see finally come in after they've timed out and just have this huge emotional release?
Yeah, it's big.
You've been compartmentalizing, you've been pushing it down for hours and hours, and then you can have that moment. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about Mid-State is watching that flood when it happens, and even throughout, like, you really have to have the courage to be who you are and to put it out there, to show up. And I think that that's a reason a lot of people drop and they're not willing to admit it early on, because it gets hard, because it gets tough, because it gets emotional, and they don't want to show that side in front of people, whether they realize that or not. They're still physically capable, but the journey they're about to go on, they ain't fucking ready for it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I hope that for those that end up going there out, they realize that's what it is, and that vulnerability is something that they need to open themselves up to when they step into that corral. Because if you're really going to push yourself, that's what it's going to take.
Yeah, and that emotional array release is so emotional, because there's not a lot of joy in it. If you battle out there through 50 or 100 miles in a distance in a race, and you get to the finish line, you're emotional because you've done it, you've completed it, you've achieved. There's none of that at Mid-State. There is no, I can't believe I did it, I finally made it here, I get to, like, I don't have to run anymore. It's that tug of, I've done all this work, this has been so hard, and I came up short. I just couldn't do it anymore. I want to keep doing it. I want to be able to keep going, and I can't. So it's so hard, and it's such a heavy weight, and they're finally ready to let it go. Is another just unique part.
Watching Jeremiah's final release,
man,
that was,
he let out a tidal wave of years long emotion, and it was on display, and it's such a beautiful thing, and it's a gift almost, if you're willing to go far enough to accept it for yourself.
One of the things I said to the guys, and I say guys because it was the last two guys, but I find so moving is their willingness to push each other to have those moments. Because here's the thing, if somebody just like bows out, they don't give you a real fight, what is there?
Yeah.
But you watch Jeremiah's mom just, oh God, she was wrecked. Nicholas's dad was wrecked.
He was in fits for hours.
Yes.
Nicholas's dad was.
They both were. And it was just, what a gift to give to one another, that ability to fight. And there's a part of you that wants them to just give up. But those moments, like if you're on the other side,
100%.
But those moments that you get to share with the people you hold dear, or your crew, because someone else wouldn't quit, they wouldn't give up the fight, and they kept making you go another one and another one and another one. And I think there was a point where Nicholas knew it was his. He could do it.
He wanted it. You could see it in his face. There was a little emotion there. He wanted it so badly, but at the same time,
you can't force someone to give it up.
You can't force someone to give it up, but there's still that pull of, I want you to keep going, because you've been in this together for so long.
Yeah.
You want the other person to keep going. And I think there was probably a point where Jeremiah knew that Nicholas had it. Mm-hmm. But he wanted to keep going, to keep pushing Nicholas.
Yeah, or see him. I don't think he's ran 100.
To see him get to I think you could just feel it when it was the two of them. There was for me, a very clear understanding because they left out together and they ran together.
Yeah.
It felt very clear to me that Jeremiah was going to push to 100.
Yes.
Like, this is the goal.
And whatever happens,
I'm going to push Nicholas to 100. It was very, very real. And I probably didn't speak it up. Maybe it was subconscious or whatever it was. But it was visible to me that this is the new goal. This is where we're going with this race. And I think he very much wanted that for Nicholas at the end of the day. I think he wanted it for himself.
Yes.
And that's the funny thing. But I think equally he wanted it for his competitor.
Yeah.
Regardless of who won at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird dynamic in the end.
Well, the other cool thing about this format and being out there, even if you know that like you have an expiration date at this, like you can only go so far, you want to push them as far as you can.
100%. Jeremiah was hanging on for all he had.
Yeah, and whether it was for him, whether it was for Nicholas, whatever it was for, he was. And I think at some point, you want to say, "Oh my God, just give it up, dude! Like you ain't got it."
No, but they don't. He was fighting. Dude was fighting hard, and that fight lasted for about 4 or 5 loops. Yeah, which is a long time
on that course.
That course, this is a long time. Here's what.
Because that would just be an hour.
A little insider information at Mid-State. Typically, when a runner falls off their pace, if they're running a 17 and they slip to an 18, or they're running an 18 and they slip to an 18:30 or a 19, they've got about an hour left. They've got about 3 loops because they don't have the time anymore to get cooled down, however brief that cooling is, to get that nutrition in, however little nutrition that is, to get a drink of water, electrolytes. That time that they've allotted that they needed throughout the entirety of the race. And it doesn't matter whether they're second out or second to last, wherever you are in this field. When you start slipping, you typically have about 3 loops. And he fought about twice as long. Mm-hmm. Kept hanging on, kept battling for those extra seconds because those extra seconds mattered.
And there were a couple where it came down to seconds. There were 10 seconds left, and he was just crossing the line, having to
just
move
through the crowd. Just walking through the crowd. Really, really impressive. Equally as impressive. I don't know that we've had a faster pace this year at Mid-State.
Good gracious. Field was so fast, and I don't know if it was the cooler temps or whatever.
It's got to be the cooler temperatures, or just caution to the wind. But shout out for TJ.
Oh, yeah.
Like, good Lord. 13-minute loops. Forever. And Nicholas, too.
Yeah.
Nicholas, too, was running 13-14. The whole race. Mm-hmm. The whole race. He might have ran a handful of 15-minute loops. But he was running fast, mm-hmm. which is typically counterproductive at Mid-State. You want to run a little slower. Well, but they were still able to do it and keep their heart rate low.
Yeah, TJ and them are a little bit newer to running, so some of the electrolytes, and that was the biggest thing. He had a huge electrolyte imbalance. And they also have dry heat where they never had to deal with humidity. So he was sweating a lot more than he realized and then started hallucinating. And by the time he told his crew, like, I'm tripping balls out there.
But still, 16 hours, mm-hmm. 17 hours of 13-minute loops out there?
And
good Lord.
He woke up with his face in the mud. Like, he literally blacked out and woke up in the mud. And then, he timed out on that loop. But yeah, and he still felt really
good he had a nap. Yeah, he got a little nap in there.
Yeah. But he had factored in that every 4 hours moving like that, he gets an hour of rest.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get it.
If you can do that,
if you can do that,
low effort.
I hear you, man. But it was, from my perspective, from other people that have been around a long time, it was shocking to see. Mm-hmm. Genuinely shocking to see the quick pace out there this year. Maybe it'll catch on.
Somebody said something was like, I feel like I'm so close to the back. I said, this year's pack's just fast.
It's just quick.
I said, you've been doing, because they were a multi-year runner. I said, you've done multiple years. It's just that the pack is fast. Keep doing what you're doing and don't fucking worry about them.
You got to run your own race out there. You really do. And because everybody's going to have a little bit of different strategy. Hats off to Nicholas. Again, what a tremendous, tremendous performance from that young man. He has got a big future ahead of him. Beautiful, beautiful Father's Day.
Yeah.
I mean, Father's Day is a special event. Father's Day, we're going to keep having it on Father's Day weekend. And it's for this type of connection. This sort of thing that takes place is what makes it so incredible. Mid-race, mid-state is not just a race. It's just not. And as much as we say it's just a mile for fun, it's so much more than that. Can't thank the people that come and run enough for their dedication, for their endurance, for their love and support of one another, for the community that they developed. So much of what this race isn't us.
No.
It is not you and I. I remember very clearly when we put on this race. It was a couple of pop-up canopies. Is what it was. And I think...
And like 3 carports.
And 400 pounds of like spaghetti and beef stroganoff and goulash and 16 boxes of mashed potatoes. It's the people that show up to run. And it's the people that have shown up that play such a huge part in making race day happen, bringing the event to life, the AV Club, the live stream.
The live stream's been so huge.
It's such an incredible thing to watch and to have available because the format lends itself to being watched. It's 20 minutes. You can see everybody come through. You can see them on the course. You can become invested like you're there. Crews are watching it while they're there.
They're looking to see
what I'm watching it is. While I'm there. Our parents at home are watching it. We have nothing to do with that.
No.
We could not have made that happen.
No.
It's that group of people saying, this is what you need. This is what I'm going to do. This is what we can provide. That makes the race what it is. It's the Parrish family that showed up the first year to run the aid station, that keep coming back to run the aid station. Thank God.
Oh, Jesus, yes.
Because I don't know who was going to run the aid station the first year. I genuinely don't. I don't think we knew. I think we were just going to set some stuff out.
Yeah. We'd have figured it out. Probably would have been me over there.
Yeah. And then Chet has come through.
Mm-hmm.
And he's brought ginger noodles and fresh food and care and love. And his family have come and supported and again, elevated the race that we have nothing to do with.
Same with Joshua Brandt.
Joshua Brandt comes, sponsors,
and then volunteers.
It's goosebumps because this race, we get to stand in the corral and we get to hug everybody and we get to cut wristbands and congratulate them and pat them on the back and pick them up and fix their salt. But it's the people behind us that really make all of it happen. Thank you.
Yes.
So much. Because I remember when it was you and I. And I wanted so much for this race. For God to have dominion over it. And it to be more than a race. And he keeps showing up. And he keeps bringing people. And they keep adding to it.
This year, like Brandon and Leah.
The people that came and ran commentary all night.
Oh.
So incredible. That we get to do this. That we get to stand in the crowd amongst everybody But if it wasn't for everybody you don't see, and you see them and they're there, please understand they're there on their own accord.
Yeah.
Bringing their own love and appreciation for the people that run, hopefully for us a little bit. That's what the community is. We didn't make that.
No.
Y'all made that. And the fact that you keep showing up is humbling. I'm eternally grateful. I guess we'll have to race again next year.
Yeah. And this year,
every race is special.
It is.
Every race is different. And every race is special.
Yeah.
We love you. We thank you. We're going to rest.
I still have a couple more things to say.
I'll get after it, Jones.
I know. Hey,
go for it.
To end on a great note there. But people kept saying throughout, like, thank you so much for doing this. I just kept saying, no, thank you. Like, we set stuff up. We created a space, but it is all of you out here connecting with one another, the crews, the people who show up, sports Force, Jennifer, Garrett, the aid station volunteers, like it's all of them. It's all the runners and what they're willing to give. And I do heartedly mean that. Like, it's nothing if these people are not willing to give all of themselves. Yeah. To fall at the finish line, to give everything, or everything they can in that loop, in that time frame, because that's the other thing. There can be so much more to give, but if you can't make it in that time frame and you are so vulnerable in front of everyone, and now the live stream is getting thousands of views, you are bearing your heart, your soul, your work, everything you've got for thousands of people. The ripple effect, when people go back and they watch Nicholas and Jeremiah, the story, or watch it unfold in those last few loops, and watching Jeremiah come into the corral and just break down his mother there. And, he posted his father and grandfather, they walked out. They didn't have, or father, that, like, he didn't have that. Like, Father's Day is not what it is for some people. His mother had to be mother and father, and she showed up. She was his only crew. That's a whole story within itself, watching those two. And our friends that put on Inkem, the last man standing, our golden ticket race, Jen and Nate, they hopped in and started helping him. Eric, a past winner, y'all know Eric Kinley, he's there and is helping Jeremiah. Watching the people rally around and help each other. And that's the other thing about Midstate. You watch runners who have timed out, like Tug and many other ones there, that they time out, they just start helping others. They jump in. There was several people, and one woman in particular, I wish I got her name. Oh wow, we got a storm happening here. But she looked what Kara was running. She was like, does she not have anybody? I was like, no, she's self-crewing because I was over there helping. And she was like, well, all right, well, I'm going to help her. And then Aaliyah started helping her after, Phil messed up his back and was like, I'm not doing this anymore. But everyone just jumps in and helps. Like, they see something that needs to be done. They see someone out there trying to do what they can do, and they're like, I got you. I feel like if we had a slogan other than it's just 1 mile, it's I got you. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's emotionally exhausting being so invested into everything and watching the highs and the lows, but it's so fulfilling watching everyone just come together and give what they have to help the next. Like, and especially with our friends, like the 3 a.m. crew food reviews were hilarious by Brandon and Tony. But Brandon probably spent 8+ hours just talking on the live stream. I know him and Tony spent just 2 hours talking at one point, nonstop. What other place do you have people that love you and support you so much that they just come and give their time and their energy? And, I said to our friends afterwards, like, we have such an incredible group of friends. I'm sure other people have good friend groups, but the amount of talent and devotion and willing to give to each other, I just feel is so freaking unmatched. That it all comes together and seamlessly. Like, we don't fight, we don't yell, we just, like, everyone is just so there to help each other, and you don't see that. It's so special, and I feel like God just constantly works through us, through our friends, through this event, time and time again. There is something so much greater than all of us. It's overwhelming sometimes. I think I cried the most this year, and I'm crying out, than I have ever. Like, trying to tell Nicholas and them how incredible it was. I just couldn't even get it out. You had to speak for me. And speaking of which, I did say last week that I wanted to see Nicholas Leo get 100 miles, and I was super stoked for them. Got pretty damn close. So, you look like you have things to say.
No, you got it.
I am. I'm so proud of everyone. I'm so grateful. And I just spend the entire event in disbelief that people come and keep showing up and keep giving. It really, I don't have the words.
Well, you got to find him. Bring us home, Jones.
I'll get a thesaurus or dictionary. We'll leave that for next week. I really love everyone. I love our friends. I love the runners. I love that we have the opportunity to do this, and that we also just took a chance because we were told there was a lot in it we were doing wrong, and we had the format wrong, and we heard a lot that was not in agreement. I'll say that.
Sure enough.
And we trusted it. Yep. And we went forward, and I love watching the same people come year after year and getting to meet so many new people. Like, the ripple effect from this event, we'll never know. We really will never know how many people are impacted and how many people are watching. We can see analytics, we can get messages, but there's something bigger than all of us out there in this, and it's so much more than running just a mile. That's it.
All right. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.